Oh, I'm sorry. The show just started. I'm sorry, man. I'm telling you, this song. Shout out to BMU. Every time I hear our theme song, I start rap. I downloaded it. I got it. I be playing it in the car on the way to work or whatnot. This is we got the dopest theme song I think, and the dopest intro across the BMU network. No shade to anybody else, but I love that song, and I get into it. I just put the beats on. Turn the bass up on it, and it is fire. So I'm literally it's on, and I'm just all in my groove, man. I break out into a dance with it. But in any event, welcome everyone to the BMD Network. Welcome to the Gray Area on this Sunday, and I am Mr. Bennett, joined by my partner, as always, from the Sparta HQ Network, aka the Ghost of Sparta himself, aka Peter, aka Panagiotis. Yasu, my brother, what's going on?
What is going on, my man? How are you tonight?
Doing good. I got a sort of early start on things. I was able to get some rest this afternoon, and got started on I typically do my Sunday dinner, so the fam ate it up, and but I'm relaxed. I'm having my protein smoothie here with my greens and my strawberry banana whey isolate protein. So recovering from the the workouts and start to build up. Looking forward to my next workout day, Wednesday squat day. So we're looking forward to that. But life is good right now. My Steelers won today, so I could tell you, yes, 4-2, still in first place in the division in the AFC North. And now the Jets, as far as the Jets, I don't know what's going on with you guys. Y'all firing coaches, y'all doing all these things. So I don't know what's going on with y'all. Y'all got drama. Y'all got drama in the Jets, man. You might want to look into that.
There's always drama over there.
They
fired somebody? I didn't know that.
Yeah, they fired head coach Saleh, and so they're bringing in a new coach now, and there's a lot of drama in terms of the Aaron Rodgers caused the firing and all that, and he's saying I ain't got nothing to do with it. So I don't know what's going on there. But now we're going to go deeper into Cigars. We're talking about the idea of smoking overall, and so again, welcome to the show tonight.
I got a rant. All right. Before I do a rant, I want to show everybody something I found in my cleaning out my closet. So this is one of the old tickets I went to last time I was in Greece. Is actually a ticket to get into the
that's beautiful.
Cigar. So it's back in 2000. Where's the date on this damn thing? I know the date here somewhere. I thought it was a date on here, but it was ticket 575 for 5,000 something number. Back in 2012, this actually was. So it's been a hot minute, obviously. So here's my rant. It's about football. So
how can you rant about football? Greatest sport in the world.
Because it's about Eagles fans. I hate Eagles fans. So I'm gonna put the warning bell now. So that alarm is just set. First of all Eagles fans, go fuck yourselves. Number one. Two, because you got one player, doesn't mean you're gonna win the goddamn Super Bowl. Like, I mean, if I hear this one more fucking time, we got the Super Bowl. I will punch somebody in the fucking face. I swear to fucking God, because you guys won one Super Bowl. That's fucking team in a while. Go fuck yourselves. If I hear this one more fucking time, the Giants couldn't do it. Like, the Giants has won more Super Bowls than I.
Giants have four. Giants have four.
Well, then Eagles.
Yeah, exactly. I'm saying Giants have four. I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you. Yeah, Giants have certainly a lot more hardware, certainly than the Eagles. And I agree. It's very passionate fans. I want anybody. If you're a New York Giants fan, you're putting your life in your hands if you wear your Giants jersey to an Eagles game in Philly. I'm just saying. So that's not a good. Yes, Dallas has more, and so did the Steelers have more than is tied for 6. So we're looking for that 7th one. But yes, very passionate fan bases and whatnot. But the good news, I mean, so you should feel good today though. Dallas got trounced today, trounced by Detroit. I mean, it's like, did they even show up? I mean, I'm still smart enough they beat us, but they got beat down, man, to the ground.
According to Boss Man, Dallas has more, and he's coming. I don't care.
Yeah, they have 5. Dallas has 5. The Patriots and the Steelers have 6. But I'm just looking at today, and I don't know. Sorry, black man. I don't know what happened to your Saints. They got shellacked also today. They got a 50-piece put on them today. So hey, we'll chop that up on the One-on-One Sports Show. Join us on Wednesday night for the One-on-One Sports Show, and certainly we'll do a recap of Week 6, certainly in the NFL. But, definitely looking forward to this topic tonight. Certainly when I get a heads up, I like to do a little I like to do a little bit of a level set before we get into tonight. But yes, but generally the topic tonight, just overall, is like humanity has been smoking something for time immemorial. I mean, go back to the ancient tribal days or whatever. Folks have always been on something. But certainly
Oh,
with certainly with go
go
ahead.
ahead. Go finish.
But certainly with the cigarettes and tobacco, that's the mother of all of the plants. People, it seems like weed is like the is the new thing now, but I mean, it's still tobacco still has a beat by miles, and it's had global impact in terms of history. And so, people even today, even though there's information out there, people, it's still an issue for a lot of people, and there's different options that people are going to in terms of trying to cope with it and whatnot. But we want to kind of chop it up tonight in terms of just globally. Again, this is the gray area, so again, we're taking perspectives from different areas of the world and how people look at different views and whatnot, how people look at things culturally, and certainly we've talked about in this show several times how smoking is such a big part of Greek culture. And especially when you're in Greece, it may be for Greek Americans, they may have a different view on it than in Greece. But we're going to take a look at this globally. So what I usually like to do is I like to kind of do a level set. So if you have an intro, you could certainly certainly give your intro, Pete. And then I just want the floor for a few minutes, just kind of level set the conversation a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe you can come in, we can then definitely chop it up.
So, cigarettes is something I've been battling like since I started smoking. So
And when did you start smoking?
I was in college when I started smoking, so it's a hot minute. So I've been fighting this battle all half my adult life.
Mhm.
I started when I was 22, 23, around there.
Mhm.
So
Did you experiment when you were a teenager? Did you experiment at all? Did you
I tried
have
a
a little?
here or there, like, but I never really got hooked on it.
Gotcha.
Got hooked on it when I was in college, to be honest with you. Why? Because I'm stupid. Very simple. There's no reason behind it. That's a simple explanation. So I also was talking to somebody recently, and Greece is not the only one who has this problem. Everybody except Americans has this issue. A lot of European countries, foreign countries, UK, Europe, Indian, Middle Eastern countries, almost every other country but us are smokers. Mexico, I know a lot of Spanish and Latinos smoke, believe it or not. Okay, yes, you can see me. The newest trend right now is vaping, but it is still a nicotine product. Let's get that straight. Is it okay? I want to pop the bubble right now. Do I think vaping is healthy? No. Is it better than cigars? Yeah, I will say it's better, but it's not good for you still. Either way, it's bad for you. So, as humankind, we've been smoking something. I don't care if it's weed, grass,
much.
hashish.
If it comes out the ground, somebody might have smoked something. Someone might try to smoke a carrot back in the day. I don't know.
Whatever you've been smoking in your life, we've been, as humankind, we've been smoking something all our lives. So, and we realized, like, guess what? We're not like, I'll give another great example. Master Ip, he was a smoker.
Eat man, yep.
I'm like, how the fuck up one of the best kung fu fighters in the world literally had a cigarette and like.
But that was everything. I mean, I love looking at a lot of nostalgia stuff, 50s, 60s TV, 70s TV, and it was just so prevalent every. In fact, I was talking to my wife earlier tonight. I told her we were doing the show, and she remembers she used to work at AT&T, and she used to say in her early days at AT&T, you would literally go into your office and people would be at their desks smoking. Like, there was no cubicles, there was no private room or whatever. It's just like you just had people smoking on the floor. It was just such a culturally accepted thing, and everything that was there, newscasters, sports hosts and whatnot, everybody smoked. So it was such a part of the culture for so many years that it took certainly a long time for it to kind of to sort of filter down, but it was such a part. Everybody did it. I mean, it's amazing.
So back in the day, believe it or not, when I first got into the diner business, cooks used to have a cigarette in their mouths, literally over the food.
Right.
Common sense, and like, and even that's kind of disgusting if you were to think about it.
True. But it's interesting. As I was researching for this, I was listening to I guess an interview with think it was Rogan and Russell Crowe was on, and he was talking about, certainly he grew up, smoking cigarettes and whatnot. And he said that, for a lot of people, smoking is something that if you're highly functional, it helps you in a lot of ways. It does. It's like, how many doctors do you know? It's like, go to a hospital at any given time. How many doctors are outside? And these are supposed to be the people who are supposed to be in the know that they're smoking a cigarette or something like that. I mean, how many people who are mechanics? And so for some people, they say, and I'll ask you, since you've been in that industry, does it help you? I mean, in terms of focus, does it put you in a certain mood? Because they talk about it, that nicotine opens up some blood-brain pathways and whatnot, and so did you recall it ever helping you? Because apparently for some people, they literally can't function without it. And they're highly functional. I mean, they're very good at what they do. And it's like, if they don't have a cigarette for a while, they start to lose it.
It's the cravings. That's why we start losing it. It's the cravings.
Mm-hmm.
The cravings get pretty fucking bad at times.
Mm-hmm.
So cigarettes are a great stress reliever. I'll be straight up with you. There are 3 times I would say, and I had this conversation today actually. That's funny. Is the 3 times the best cigarettes are best for it is with your coffee. When
so you're getting the double dose. You're getting the caffeine and you're getting the nicotine.
In the morning is your coffee. After a meal, usually when you're stressed out, after you get your pee wet, and those are usually come. And when
you can say sex on the show. So after
you get fucked.
Wow.
This is my show too,
So you're the guy. So you're the guy who rolls over, and the woman, she gets the ashtray and puts it on your chest, and she's putting you do that kind of thing.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, that was one of those. I was that guy, and
wow.
Over the years, I realized like smoking in a house was disgusting, so I stopped smoking in a house.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was smoking in the house and in the car, forget it. It was like I had a game, and I'm having a cigarette as I'm smoking, I'm trying to play the ass out. Sometimes I don't want to get myself killed. I don't want to pause because it's an online game. I'm like, that's the fucked up part. But the hardest part for people smoking is not the nicotine, believe it or not, is this, the motion. Because they have to keep the
interesting. So it's the habit, literally, not just the chemical habit of it, but just the idea of having something in your hand, something that, the motion of taking a draw. I think I've never smoked, so the draw, I think it is taking a long draw on a cigarette or whatever. So it's that motion. You just get so used to that. So when you don't, you feel a little bit naked or something's missing if you're not doing that on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was the hardest part for me when I quit smoking the first time. Mm-hmm. Not the first, like the 505th time.
Mm-hmm.
That's the hardest part because I went because I was working for St. Luke's, and to get into St. Luke's, a lot of health networks now they test you for nicotine. They don't want you to be even a smoker to work for the health network.
Mm-hmm.
So I had no choice. I had to quit smoking, and I did. And the first thing that was pissing me off is this, freaking.
You just couldn't.
Right. So I went to zero nicotine with vaping, and that's fine. It's zero nicotine, nothing's in there, just flavor. Mm-hmm. So 3 days later, I'm good. Once I got past that, but I was good after that. It's all, you have to get through the pass. You know what I'm saying?
So the vaping helped you with this, but it didn't necessarily help you with the nicotine because there was no nicotine in there.
So a nice thing about vaping, people don't understand, you can actually control how much nicotine is in there.
So you can add it. Yeah.
Add it. You can take away, but you can always add to it.
Mm-hmm.
So, like anything else in life. So let's say you're a heavy smoker, you're at 12 nicotine. Yeah, you can go down to 12, 11, and so on. It depends on where you get your nicotines. But most places are usually 12, 6, and 3. That's what most places do.
Mm-hmm.
But if you get zero nicotine and at 12, you can blend them together. Now you cut your nicotine down anyway. Mm-hmm. So that's the way I do it. Just a little hint for everybody who doesn't know that. So it's easy to say, oh, I can give it up. It's not easy doing it. Vaping helped me because I went from 12 all the way down to 3, 2, 1. And then I kicked it completely. It took me time, slowly. Very slowly, but I got it done. Maybe that's a way. Some people they use a patch. Some use the gum. Some people use a medication. I don't personally like the medication because I read the side effects on it. When it says caution, it might cause suicide. Like yeah, I'm good. I'm not putting anything in my body that says you may cause suicide thoughts. Yeah, I'm good. I prefer smoke. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
the hardest part was everybody who I knew, like 99.9% of Greeks, are smokers. Percent people I know are smokers. So I had to change my environment.
Right.
Once I changed my environment, I realized, okay, now I could change my habits. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, but it's interesting you talked about the habit of the hand uses because I mean, obviously they have for nicotine they have options, right? People have gum, they have the patches, they have different nicotine based products that they can use. Even and again, go back in the day. Now I don't know anybody. In fact, my dad he smoked since I've been alive, so he smoked all his life. But I never saw my dad, and he's from the South also, which is a bit unusual. He's from the South, but he never did chewing tobacco. But that used to be the thing. Were you ever into chewing tobacco at all?
No, I knew people were chewing tobacco. I just know they're more damage than good. Like, okay, you're gonna get cancer from smoking no matter what. Now you're also looking at what is it, throat cancer or jaw cancer? You're gonna fuck up your gums with chewing tobacco. It has been proven. I know a lot of baseball players chew when they're playing baseball.
Right.
That's why you see most spinning overs on TV. I'm not sure.
Right. That or something switch over to bubble gum if they try to, because again, it's the action of chewing something. Got that big wad, so they take like 3-4 packs of bubble gum or whatever, put it in their mouth. Like that. But I'm just saying. But the idea that you're used to the draw or the holding in the hand, that's why I can say because I know a lot of people says, yeah, I tried the cigarette, I tried the gum, I tried the patches and whatnot, and they're still not satisfied because again, it's not just the physical addiction or the dependency on nicotine. It's the lifestyle, it's the culture, it's how you move. There's a matter with which you conduct yourself. There's also the fellowship. I mean, at work, jobs I've been at now, the place I'm at now, I don't see too many smokers, who are out, but the congregation, if you will. Oftentimes what you see. Some companies I've been at, they've had smoking lounges. It's kind of like an outside lounge. People go out there and have a draw for a while. So it's you go on a long walk, and talk over some things, talking about the business before you do. So there's so many aspects to this involved besides just the nicotine. So everyone's thinking, well, we just give them nicotine and that'll just solve all the problems. But it goes so much beyond that. It's something that I can understand why it takes a lot of people so much time to come off the habit. And I'll be curious in the chat I don't know if anybody's in the chat if you've ever been a smoker. If so, I'd like to know how long, especially if you've been able to break the habit. How long were you a smoker? And how did you break the habit? If you want to just share that in the chat. I'd appreciate that, people being honest about that, or if you're still struggling with it. Again, we're having a conversation. It's no judgment. I mean, I don't judge Peter on his shows. We all got something going on with us and whatnot. So again, I got no judgment on him or anybody else who's with that. But I'm just trying to get more into the cultural attitudes and the lifestyle of smoking. Which I always saw from afar, but I never really, talk with a smoker in terms of what's really going on there. So that's what we're trying to explore.
So when you're trying to break a habit, it takes 30 days to break a habit. First of all, now with the nicotine, you're always in the back of your mind, like a drug addict, pretty much. I want a cigarette. I was like, it's up to you to make those right decisions. Sometimes, as much as you try to make the right decisions, you can't sometimes because the urge wins sometimes. As much it's like. When you need to get laid, bro, you need to get laid. Similar concept, think of it.
Right.
So it's very hard to fight that urge. Some people cannot.
Right.
You know,
But what
people,
is that? So for you personally, and again, share what you want to share on it.
I'll share
I'm just
everything.
curious. Just what is that? You say the urge. What is it? Is it just a physical thing? Is it just a tension, an uneasiness? Is there like a tingle? Is it I mean, what is it, as best as you can describe what that is, especially
First,
to me being a non-smoker? What is that?
first you're cranky as fuck. All right. That's the first thing.
So your
Thing,
mood. So again, so your mood is definitely in a different place.
oh yeah. But you don't forget, the nicotine hits your dopamine first.
Yeah. Okay.
So you need the dopamine fix.
Yeah. Yeah.
Second, feeling you feel like you're like not suffocating, but you want something. It's like you're almost like drowning, but you're not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you want that hit right there. So once you you eat chocolate, right?
On occasion. Yeah.
Okay. Were you ever like a heavy chocolate eater at one time?
No, I don't think I've again, I outside of sex, I have very few things that give me that kind of feeling of like I need to have it. so I admit that, man. Sex is dope. So I'll always capitulate to that.
You're caught off from sex. What's the urge you're gonna get? You want it, right?
Oh yeah. It's BMU. I think he coined the term post nut clarity. So sometimes you trying to concentrate, you're trying to focus on something, and you just get into this fog, man. It's like, look, but then once you release, it's like, oh yeah, now I can think. Where was I all that time? So,
the only release he's gonna have is jerking off. Let's be straight up here.
mm-hmm.
So for a smoker, only release he's gonna have is to smoke a cigarette.
Mm-hmm.
So you see where this goes, the cycle. Yeah. Right? So it's unfortunately, as much as you say, oh, find other urge, chew gum instead. It doesn't work like that.
Mm-hmm.
I love how non-smokers say, oh, you don't need it as a crutch. Fuck you. Yeah, because you're not a smoker. That's why you say fuck. And it's like saying alcoholic, like, don't drink. Or a heroin addict. Don't use heroin, man. What's the big deal? Nothing can happen. It doesn't work like that. It's all, yeah, part is up here. I'm not denying that. But it takes such a willpower. It's not even funny. So to quit it's hard. I mean, like, I was 9 months clean. I relapsed, and I'm clean again. So I've been clean for 2 weeks now. So, and again, nicotine gum. Yes, it works for some people. Some people it does not work. So the first thing
but that's why I was asking you about the lifestyle. For you, like you said, it's the life, it's the draw, it's the the lifestyle. So you can't just like the nicotine is only taking care of one part of that, and I think that's maybe something that a lot of people don't understand. It's you're trying. You got It's like you got a wall with multiple holes, and then water's coming through, and you put your hand on one, or couple hands on couple of the holes, but these other things are bleeding out.
Yeah, I want to clear one thing up. If you're not a smoker, all right, you don't understand what I'm going to say now, so this doesn't count for you. If you're a smoker, hear me out. If you're not ready to quit mentally, you're saying, I'm done. I'm done smoking. I want to take my life back. I want to take it off. It's not going to ever work. It's going to fail every single time. When I didn't know I was ready. It just happened. I just fell in the right steps for me. So if you're ready, you can do anything. Simple. If you say, hey, I'm ready to lose weight, you're going to lose weight. Hey, you say, hey, I want to finally grow my biggest beard I ever had. You're ready mentally. If you're not mentally ready, you're not going to be able to do none of this stuff. Make sense?
Yeah. Braxton, shout out to Braxton Snakefin again. Just to give shout out to the panel again. 183307. Thanks for coming through. Catalia as always. My boy Eric's in the bill tonight. And Ania came in tonight as well. Good to see you tonight. And Mariana, again, always a pleasure to see you as well. Tell us about Turkey. We're going to talk about that. Some of the global implications, like where people smoke. Certainly globally and certainly in the United States, as always, lost in translation. Certainly welcome to the show as well. My man Marcus, haven't seen you in a while, man. Good to see you, brother. Thanks for stopping on through here tonight. So I just wanted to just acknowledge the folks back in the snakes being, yes, as far as the patch. But again, that's the thing you put on your body. But again, it goes beyond the patch. It's almost like the patch is almost like you're putting a patch on a leak, but there's several leaks that are integrated into this addiction or to this need for this fix that you have. And so it may help you with one thing, but then you still have these other battles that you need to fight as well internally. But then you also have these external pressures as well. So, I mean, if you have a breakup, if you have a bad day at work, then, the external stresses that may drive you to it as well. And, so certainly there's a lot of things that need to go on to, kind of make a successful go of it. And to my knowledge to this day, I haven't met a smoker yet who they might have been clean for 30 years, who at any given point in time, they don't say they don't miss it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, 30 years, no cigarette, but, if were it not for the health concerns or whatever, if they went back to it or whatever, they still remember those days with fondness for people. So it's a very powerful, the not just the nicotine, but we're just talking about the nicotine, but there's other substances that hopefully we'll get into tonight that go with it. So it's not just that, and I think that's
Let me touch base on the patch because I use the patch. The patch is a 3-step way. So step 3 is 12 grams of nicotine going in your body for 24 hours when the patch hits you. Okay. Once you go through a 30-day cycle, they recommend you going to the second. It depends. It says right in the box how much you're smoking and everything, how you should do it. You always start at step 3. When you go to step 2, the nicotine drops. It's supposed to lean you off the nicotine. That's what the patch really is. But it doesn't work for everybody. And the last comment from go to the gym and work out is for stress. Not everybody can do that, unfortunately. Like some people don't want to go to the gym. They don't like the gym for some reason. Like they was like sitting home on the computer instead.
Right. So
if the computer is like when I used to work on a computer, it was like
right. And that's the thing too. It doesn't help you in the moment because again, you have making time to go to the gym and putting all those things in. That might be a good way to end the day or whatever. But when you're in the thick of it, like say you're in the kitchen and you are stressed as orders are coming in. It's like where's my food? And, and you're going back and forth with the waiter or whoever's there, whatnot. When you're in that sort of pressure cooker, sometimes the gym that may help you out certainly later on to kind of come down, almost to sort of decompress. But when you're in the moment, unless you're going to just drop and do 20 push-ups or something to do something.
People don't understand that. Like if I'm saying, "Oh, you sunflower seeds," I just saw, or go to the gym. It doesn't work like that. When you want a fucking cigarette, trust me, I have talked to ex-drug addicts. Smoking was the hardest thing. Quitting heroin was easy because smoking is not illegal. That's one thing I keep that in mind.
Right.
So when I only use a couple of scenarios here really fast. So I'm going to mention 2 people plus myself in the restaurant. When I was a heavy smoker, when I'm arguing with a fucking server, he's been a fucking douchebag or she's been a little twat. I'm going to strangle her. The first thing you're going to go for is that goddamn fucking cigarette. You're going to sit down, faster than a freaking hooker is going to suck your dick off. That's how fast you're going to suck that cigarette down. So I'm going to bring 2 people that I personally know. First one, CQ, our friend who was on the show. He used to be a very heavy smoker when he was overseas.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And when he quit smoking is honestly his wife. And I mentioned to him a couple of times, I had cigars around the house. Like, yo, dude, let me bring a cigar we have on next, a beer to. Like, he goes, yeah, no, dude, I don't want to keep my son a bad night. And like, he has motivation or my wife's going to kill him or something. If that's your motivation, great. Keep going. And I even asked him, do you still get the urges? Like, honestly, it's been so many years, he doesn't even think about it anymore.
Good.
But
I don't hear that often.
That's where the second part of the story was going to go to. I know some other people who do smoke and say, yeah, I still think about it time to time. Like I know people say, "Oh, I'm going to be a professional fighter." Oh, cool. Then they're smoking a whole pack of cigarettes out there. You really think you're going to be in a boxing ring and survive against a professional boxer? Yeah, they don't smoke, those guys.
Right.
Any of the cardio. Same thing. I want to be a professional wrestler. Really? You really think when you're running to the ring and you're in the ring for 45 minutes, you think you're going to not be wing it? Think about it.
Right.
A professional athlete doesn't smoke for a reason.
Right. Oh, but back in the day, they did. I mean, if you look at, for example, professional baseball players, they would smoke in the dugout. If you watch some old baseball games from the 1940s or the 1950s or whatnot, you literally have players in the dugout smoking between innings. So again, in certain sports, yeah, like I said, it was such a thing in the culture until the public and information started coming out and people really started putting together anti-smoking campaigns. Is where you really started to have attention to it. But it was such a normal, regular thing that, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all that if you were a boxer, if you back in the day. In fact, there was a movie. In fact, again, I brought up the Russell Crowe interview with Joe Rogan because in the movie with James Braddock, he did this biopic on James Braddock, who was a boxer, and he smoked. He was a smoker. James Braddock, I believe he was a former heavyweight champion of the world, or at least he fought for the heavyweight championship of the world. So again, athletes from back in the day, yeah, they did all kinds of things that we wouldn't consider. They going out boozing the night before. I mean, we all know about like Mickey Mantle, one of the greatest New York Yankees of all time. Him and Billy Martin and those guys, they be partying like anything all night, coming to the game hungover. They take a speed or an upper so they can get up to play the game. It was just part of life, and it seems like yeah. But people say it's like, as great as Mickey Mantle was, 563 home runs in his career. So they're talking about 600 home runs, I think, in his career, something like that. I need to get the numbers, but people used to talk about, man, imagine what if he did live a cleaner life, how much more he would have been. He arguably could have been the greatest baseball player of all time. He was a switch hitter, and he could have been a greater player had he not did all that stuff. But some people, that was just the lifestyle back then.
Rocky movies, for a great example. A couple of Rocky movies, he's literally smoking in the movie.
Smoking a cigarette, yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if he actually smoked in real life as the actor, but I know he smoked. So I want to address this a little bit. The laws with the smoking. Everybody keeps saying, "Oh, they should make this illegal to change the age limit. Like now it's 21. They should raise it to 30. All this stuff." Okay, first of all, people don't understand smoking is a high tax dollar. One. If you do anything with smoking more than it is right now, you're going to increase your taxes, number one, most likely, or something's going to go up. So let's keep that in mind. Second, do you know who donates the most money to the government besides, do you know?
Who you mean donate? You mean pays taxes or donates?
Politicians for.
Oh yeah, I mean the smoking lobby is huge. I mean it's
Oh, I can tell the numbers because last time it's been a while since I looked into it. This is like 6-7 years ago. I looked into it. It was in the millions and over, I would say. Like Marvel was donating $1.5 billion a year to politicians, so they don't lose for that bracket. It's like, maybe, pushing cigars out. That's why NASCAR was Weston Cup. Weston was a cigarette company at one point.
Yep, still is.
Yeah. So they donate a lot of money every year. So all these laws we're talking about, how long did it take to change the law from 18 to 21? How many years?
Oh, I can't remember the timeline, but yeah, it was definitely.
That's my point.
Yeah,
that's my point. So people are going to say all this out of their asses, but they don't understand. Their hands are in every person's pocket possible if they don't change the law. You know, sometimes I walked into like a tobacco store, buy a pack of cigarettes, and a representative of Marvel is there, or Camel, and one of the guys like, "Hey, we have this new brand of cigarettes. Do you want to try one?" I go, "What kind?" It's Marvel Black when they came out, for example. And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll try one." He goes, "Here you go." I'm like, "You giving me a whole pack?" You're like, "Yeah, I want you to try the whole pack. One cigarette is enough. You need a whole pack." He goes, "So if you walk into the right time, you get free cigarettes too." Because he's giving you cigarettes to try it, because I have to be over 21, 18 back then. So he knows what he's doing. He's not paying me. He's not doing anything. I'm giving you a cigarette. There's nothing illegal with that. Giving you a pack of cigarettes to try if you're already a smoker. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. So, no, it's pervasive, and it's been such a factor in terms of the world, how the world was formed in the way that we the way that we see it today has really been the history of it, and it basically started with the U.S. I mean, the United States is essentially responsible. You could say UK and Britain. You can essentially say that they're responsible for what we're seeing today in all these countries when it comes to smoking addiction.
Sure. Take over a second. I want to grab something for the show.
Sure thing. Well, in fact, that's good. That's a good segue then. I wanted to kind of share some information. Usually, like I said, I like to kind of level set this conversation. This is not necessarily an anti-smoking advertisement, although certainly I don't encourage people to do it, but it's not necessarily meant for that purpose. Usually what I'm trying to do is, again, share some information on just the impact of tobacco on our world. So if we can share that first slide. So I'm just going to go through these slides here that I put together and just talk about some key dates in tobacco history. So again, tobacco, we're not talking about cannabis, all right? We're not talking about any other herbal products. We're talking about tobacco, because even though those are certainly prevalent worldwide, I don't think they hold a candle to the impact of tobacco on human civilization. And certainly in the last certainly in the last 500 years. So again, I mean, it certainly comes from Central America, the tobacco plant, 6,000 BC. And again, the natives of that time, they used it. It wasn't so much for smoking, even though it was, used in some religious ceremonies and whatnot, but they use it medicinally as a plant to heal wounds and toothaches and things of that nature. It was used in that, for that purpose. So they didn't have it wasn't like people were smoking a pack of cigarettes a day, but people were using the whole plant for different purposes. When Columbus came in 1492, he discovered the people being on it, and he brought some of that back to Europe. That started a downward trend where that first trade of tobacco products started happening. So in 1606, you have the Virginia Company, chartered by King James. Yes, the King James, the one who authorized the King James Bible. Okay, for you guys who love King James, he brought some things that necessarily weren't so kosher either. So again, 1606, Virginia Company started. They tried all types of businesses to try to get things started, but they couldn't make anything work. You had this guy. Now again, Columbus came, who was from Spain. That's important, because when Columbus came, Spain had the monopoly on tobacco exports, imports and exports. But John Wolfe, he actually went down to South America and brought up some seeds of tobacco from there and planted it in Virginia in 1612, but he did it illegally. Because, in fact, it was the Spaniards under Columbus had such a monopoly on it that it was actually punishable by death if you sold to someone who was not a Spaniard. So, again, 1612, John Wolfe brings it to Virginia, and literally the rest is history. Literally, because it became a boom and created a major export from the colonies at the time. Thank you, appreciate that. It became the bumper crop, the boom that changed the world. It was a major success for Britain, because again, these were colonies. This is before the Revolution. But interestingly, a few years later, 1619, the first black slaves were brought to America to work the tobacco farms. So all this happened in Virginia by the Virginia Company that was instituted by King James. So you can almost say that the King James, the one who authorized the King James Bible, is in part responsible for that early work of those slaves who came into the United States to help build the colonies. In fact, the evidence is that if it wasn't for the tobacco industries, the colonies would not have survived economically if it wasn't for tobacco. So when black people talk about, black Americans talk about, yeah, we helped build the country. Yeah, that's real. And it wasn't just picking cotton. Our first crop that we actually were working with was tobacco, not cotton. That came later. But tobacco was the first. So just moving on some key dates here now. It was in 1826 that scientists discovered that tobacco was poisonous. That was the first time. But prior to the late 1800s, the primary use, that's why I was asking earlier about chewing tobacco, most people chewed it. They didn't smoke it, in part because just like weed, now again, weed I know is being sold in different packages and brownies, and it's already set for you. But, brothers, if you remember back in the day when you had to do that roll, you rolled the joint, you rolled the blunt, you rolled it. But back then, that's how you had to do it also. Cigarettes and cigars were considered luxuries. So again, it was something of sort of like the upper class is what they did, but that changed in 1881. James Bosnick invented the automatic cigarette roller, And what that did, they made them available to the masses, making them the number one. So cigarettes after the late 1880s, cigarettes, not chewing tobacco or cigars, became the number one form in terms of how people consumed tobacco. Now, where it had its global outreach was during World War I and World War II. So you even had the GIs. They actually had in their rations, they actually had cigarettes that were taken with them. And that exposure changed it changed the perception of cigarettes, because even certain people, they if you look down on cigarettes, you cannot look down on an American GI. So again, they took that brand around the world. So people in Europe, people in Africa, people in Asia, when they saw Americans smoking cigarettes, it was a sign of power. It was a sign of status. And that really changed and brought the demand for cigarettes to the world in a way that wasn't seen before. And anybody who was going to criticize, it's like, hey, you're criticizing an American GI. We don't do that here. So again, World War I and World War II had a major impact on the expansion of cigarette consumption throughout the world, which created certainly the what we have today. Now, again, interestingly enough, it was the Nazis. All right. In the 1930s, German scientists discovered the link between smoking and lung cancer. It was the Nazi scientists who did that first, and it was the Nazi nation prior to World War II. They were the first country to institute public bans on smoking. You couldn't smoke on buses. You couldn't smoke on trains. All of that was first instituted by the Nazis because of that research. And they also instituted one of the first in schools, in public schools, instituting health training on the dangers of cigarettes. They were the first ones to do it. It wasn't until the 50s that the British and American science confirmed what the German studies already did, because nobody wanted to agree with Germany back then. But then in the 60s is when you start to ban. So like I said, go back and watch any television from the 1950s and the 1960s. You had TV advertisements with famous people. That's another thing. Cigarettes not only became patriotic because our American GIs were doing it, it also became sexy because the celebrities were doing it. So it was very common to go back and see famous people in cigarette commercials, women, men.
All right, so this is where I want to jump in now. Right.
Sure thing. Go ahead.
I got my items here. So this is my grandfather's Zippo. He never used it, but this was handed.
Your grandfather's what?
A Zippo.
Yeah. Old school. Yeah. Yep.
This is literally his first Zippo. He was a smoker, but he didn't want to use this because he had, like the other lighters, he was a match guy. So This is one of them. And a second one it was getting passed down to me. And you can see the old box. I'm not even joking. Is the old school box. You can see it.
Yeah.
It's one of the old school. You can see.
Well, they were kind of almost like heirlooms, right? Like you said, passed down. Your father would oftentimes pass it down. When you became a man, he would give you oftentimes that lighter.
Zippos are very collectible, believe it or not. And this one right here is my first Zippo I ever had. And obviously, you're gonna laugh because it's like you said, this is definitely me, right there.
Right.
Yeah. Right. And actually, the funny part, I have this tattoo on my arm too, by the way. So those are a couple of the Zippos. Patches right here. I've tried them. This is the step 1, 21 milligrams. And again, it tells you everything right on the patch, how to use it and everything. Again, if you're not ready, this is not going to work. Like vape. Right, here we go. Here's a vape. Again, if you're not in your head ready, it's not going to work. Anyway, gum. See, I haven't even opened it.
Nicorette. Yep.
This is probably would this work for me? To be honest with you, I doubt it because I was a smoker. So with people giving cigarettes out in service, yeah, that was very common.
Yeah. So I mean, it changed. In fact, like so not only did you have, yeah, exactly. I'm saying the Flintstones, absolutely, Eric, absolutely. And the thing also, what was marketed to kids. Candy cigarettes. Now, again, I don't remember, for some strange reason, maybe I never got into it. I vaguely remember. I know my wife certainly does. And again, if you guys are older, if you're Gen X or older, if you remember when they used to sell candy cigarettes. Now, the thing that was interesting about the candy cigarettes was that what made them interesting is that they were packaged by the cigarette manufacturers. So in other words, they came in a Winston box. And what that did was, again, that started to groom young people that when you turn of age to smoke, and again, I don't know when the age requirement came in, whether it was 18 or it might have been even younger than that initially before they started putting these ages for smoking in. I know for 18 was when I was in college was 18, and then I think it changed up to 21. Drinking, I think, was already 21, I think, at that time when I was in college. So I need to do a little bit more in terms of finding the years when that took place. But again, you already started to see the turn. So 1965, the UK banned tobacco ads on TV, but the United States didn't ban tobacco ads until 1971. And even then, it was only for cigarettes. Because again, if you're a fan of major sports, NFL, you guys remember those Skoal commercials back in the day, it wasn't like a big wad of tobacco, but there was those little packets that you put between your cheek and gum for tobacco flavor and whatnot. So those went on well through the 80s.
Let me jump in again.
Yeah.
So here in the States, some people still roll their own cigarettes. It's cheaper. It's little. You can do the automatic or the manual one, like kind of the tongue of the cowboy whip.
Yeah.
Or the slider one, or
Right.
the machine. You can pull the tobacco and you go doop, 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 doop. It shoots like 100 of them in like a minute.
Right.
So that's one. Now in Greece, people prefer rolling over buying pre-mates. The reason is cheaper. It's cheaper. It's literally, you see people literally have the filter in their mouth, like taking a cigarette, sticking it out in a way, then putting it in the filter, and like rolling it, and as you're walking, they're rolling the whole cigarette as you're rolling.
Yeah. There was a method. There was a method and a technique, and sometimes your father would teach you how to do it. Right? I mean, it was like one of those things, like tying a necktie. Okay, son, you need to know how to roll your own cigarette. So absolutely, that was a thing that was done at the time. But let me ask you though, even in those times when they were doing that, were they smoking 30 or 20, 30, 40 a day though?
See, one thing I realized with people who roll the cigarettes, they will smoke a little more. Actually, it's cheaper.
More. So they don't. I know, but what I'm saying is, a pack of cigarettes is like 20 cigarettes in a pack, right? Roughly, or 10. I thought it was 20. I thought it was 20. How many? Like I said, I'm not in. So how many cigarettes come in a pack? I thought it was 20. I could be wrong about 10 or 20. I could be wrong about that. But I'm just saying. But the fact that you could just easily just go take the box and just take one out and smoke it, I think it led to certainly people being able to smoke more, not less. If I had to roll 20 cigarettes a day, I don't know if I would get any work done, because I'd have to take time off in order to do that. So and that's again that invention back in 1881. I think that's why it was so groundbreaking, because again it allowed people to have instant access. It's almost like the microwave of cigarettes, that I don't have to wait for it. It's there. It's like prepackaged food. It's like you put a TV dinner in the oven. I don't have to spend all that time cooking. It was kind of like it was kind of like that. So they would just pre-roll them in bunches. That's where the cigarette case came in. Okay, maybe it didn't. But I even, like I said, my dad, certainly I've known my dad for some time. I never recall him pre-rolling anything, and I don't recall too many people who I know who did that on a regular basis. So surely not having like a stack of cigarettes lined up. That's the first time I'm hearing that. If people, but it makes sense though, because I mean, once cigarettes really start to go up, like back in the day, it was $6 and $8 and $10 and $12 a pack. You would think more people would go to that option. I haven't seen it where people are going to that length. If they get that paper, it's not for tobacco, it's for cannabis. But tobacco by the back. Yeah, I mean that's something that's new to me. Maybe it might be I don't know if that's a Southern thing. That's the first time I'm hearing that. But I think certainly that invention certainly allowed for not only the quick access, but also the expansion, the import and export that allow people to sip it in bass in millions, not just certainly a bag at a time. But again, I mean, but I'm saying cigarettes were so prevalent back in the day. My point is that it was marketed to kids. It was marketed on game shows. It was marketed by what you watch old Walter Cronkite from 60 Minutes. What he'd always have next to him or at his desk, he would be smoking a cigarette. In the break, coming back from the break, he would have a cigarette in his mouth. So again, it was so common. Airlines, I think the point that was made earlier was that, yeah, I mean, you could smoke on airlines. And, for decades now, you can't smoke. Not even if you're in first class. I think, again, correct me if I'm wrong. Even first class passengers, I don't know if you can have the right to smoke, especially if you share a public space on an airplane.
Let's backtrack here for 1 second, right?
Yeah.
So one pack of cigars is 20 cigarettes. So
okay, I thought yeah.
One pouch go right. It depends where you're from, between $3 to $5, give or take.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Rolling, you get about 50 cigars out of that tobacco bag, the pouch.
Mm-hmm.
A lot more than you're gonna get. They're pretty packed, pretty not, but it's the papers that where you have to roll and get those small filters. That's all them story.
Mm-hmm.
So now with the kids thing, you're telling you, yeah, they were promoting to kids. This in overseas, kids smoke as young as 12 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So that's very common overseas. People smoke. Now, I remember my mother smoking on a plane, in the movie theater. I remember the little ashtray on the seat.
I remember movie theater smoking. Yeah, that I do remember, but I don't remember on an airplane. I don't remember that.
I remember the airplane one. It was smoking section, not smoking section.
Mm-hmm.
And determine the smoking is actually why planes were crashing. They're saying at one point. I don't know how true that is. It's not true. The airplane engineer. If there's an airplane engineer in the chat, please let me know, because I like to hear the truth.
Mm-hmm.
But they were pushing. I think it's more they figured out, okay, it's not healthy. Even in a non-smoking section on a plane, you're still going to get smoke in that section.
Yeah, secondhand smoke, yeah. And again, for years, they didn't even know the effects of secondhand smoke. I mean, it's still even debated now about the effects of that, but no one even paid attention to that. And again, that's why for a time when I started seeing the information, I mean, like I said, I grew up with my, spent almost 15 years with my dad. So, certainly he smoked every day, and it didn't matter if I had my door closed or whatever. You still smell that cigarette smoke coming through and whatnot. So again, I was exposed to that every day for certainly a number of years in my teenage years, in the early 20s. So hopefully I don't suffer any impacts from that. But again, people didn't know. It wasn't that readily available. But again, you started seeing, they started putting the Surgeon General warnings on cigarette boxes and things of that nature. But again, up until probably the early 80s, one of the most iconic images that represented American masculinity and just image was the Marlboro Man, right? That was like the I think, wasn't Tom Selleck? I think he was a Marlboro Man. If I memory serves, he might have been a model for that. But again, that was like such an iconic image for so long that again it for all those centuries and decades leading up to the time when people started paying more attention to it. But by that time, it was already a global thing. Like I said, with the wars, with the export of the product, the power of the cigarette companies and the cigarette lobby, as you talked about earlier, with their political power, it spread globally. And it's to the fact now that, for a lot of countries, there are a lot more countries that smoke more than we do, but we still consume a certain number of smoking. And just in terms of fatalities of it, again, I'm not trying to be a negative Nancy here, but again, this is coming from Our World in data on smoking. 8.7 million people die from smoking every year as of November 2023. These are the latest estimates from that. So again, it people say it increases your risk for certain things or whatever, but statistical data that globally people die from this stuff.
Smoking is one of the biggest cause of heart attacks and dying.
Yeah.
Like, I give you a great
cardiovascular disease. Yeah.
DiCaprio during Titanic, the scene he's on the bench and he's laying back and smoking a cigarette. He's really smoking a cigarette. He's a smoker. He's a heavy kind of smoker. He just literally he's straight smoking for vaping.
Right.
I'm not saying he's doing the right thing doing vaping, but I'm just saying a lot of people still smoke. They just do it behind closed doors. Now it's not as social acceptable as much anymore.
Right.
But it's smoke. People do smoke.
Right. Here's a chart. This is coming from Our World in Data. Again, just to talk about some risk factors when it comes to smoking. Again, it's third highest in terms of, again, cause of death risk factors for death. So high blood pressure, air pollution, smoking is up there. Blood sugar, diabetes is big up there. Obesity, but again, it's a major thing. So no one's trying. I'm not trying to again, down people for smoking, but certainly it's a major risk factor for fatalities. And those are just things that always go like anything else. You go in informed and you do what you want with the information. But just trying to share that, just kind of give you some stats here globally. Okay, on the impact of smoking. So again, on the world average, 23% of the world on average smokes, but these are some of the countries around the world where it's really done. So again, a lot of countries in Far East Asia, Bulgaria, Serbia, Indonesia, Croatia, Andorra, so again, a lot of places. France is pretty high on smoking. Here's another chart that talks about this. Is coming from Ranking Royals. World Bank and Ranking Royals talks about, again, the percentage. So as of 2020, males, percentage of males who smoke. So Indonesia, you talk about everyone smoking, almost everyone smokes in Indonesia, and just all these different countries. And again, in Central Europe and in Asia, where the smoking rates are very high. What was also interesting about this, with the exception of what we're seeing here, Algeria here, you don't have a lot of folks in Africa who smoke. If I go to this chart here, here's another one. This is coming from Data Pandas. This is a percentage of people, who smoke worldwide. So again, you have in America still about 25% of Americans, 1 in 4, smoke cigarette. In some places it's higher or lower. But if you look at Africa, with the exception of South Africa, you really don't have a ton of smokers. So again, when you talk about Nigerians, and folks from Eastern and Central Africa, not huge here, which is a little bit surprising to me. But I got to even think, just anecdotally, in my life, I don't recall seeing a lot of Africans, not Caribbean people or African Americans. I'm talking about those from Africa, recent immigrants to the country. I don't recall many of them being big time smokers. Now, Asian Indians, I work in the IT industry. Asian Indians, yes, especially the men. Women, not so much. It's rare when I ever saw an Indian woman smoking a cigarette. But certainly the men, absolutely. But as far as Africans, I haven't seen many in my life who are just active smokers who's got to draw on that cigarette. So I find that very interesting, and certainly with that population there, you would think people would be trying to get cigarettes into the market. So maybe you need to ask either Brother Ekene or maybe if David want to come on and share his comments on that. I'd be interested in finding out why that is when it comes to that. But you look everywhere else in the world. Again, look at Europe. Look at all these European countries. Look at in Asia. Look at Russia, India. Again, the Far East with a lot of these Asian Pacific countries and islands and whatnot. Massive cigarette usage throughout the world. But this is all originating, though, again, usually from the American export. Again, so tobacco originated in Central America, right? You had the British under King James with that guy who brought tobacco to Virginia, and that kind of started this trend. So what you see in the world started first with the discovery in Central America, then it started in the Americas and expanded globally. And we're just talking about tobacco. We're not talking about cannabis or any other substances. And just locally here in the United States, what's also interesting here is laws concerning public smoking. Right. So again, we have the places in Burgundy, all banned in all public places, including previous categories. Now, again, New Jersey's here, but there's a caveat to that because again, I live in New Jersey, and obviously Atlantic City, they've been given, a lot of those casinos have been given exemptions because they understand that would certainly impact a lot of their business. So even now, I was in Atlantic City last month. And even then, when you go down there in the casino, they have a smoking area, and then they have a non-smoking area within the casino. It doesn't make that much difference, to be honest with you, because again, it's an open area. Yeah, but again, I know when New Jersey went to put in a total ban in restaurants and bars and everything, in those type of places, they were very the lobby from Atlantic City was massive. And they still have that exception out. I think even most places, if you have casinos or reservations or whatever, where they have casinos, I think they also work in lobby to get that exemption. But notice in most of the southern states, not too many bans on cigarettes. So again, so in the South, they love their guns and they love their cigarettes. so I don't know in terms of health outcomes and whatnot. I know I didn't get the statistics on those, but definitely in southern states, it's definitely, you talk about valuing freedom, do whatever you want, and but if you die from it or whatever, then so be it. But you're not taking their guns, and certainly you're not taking their right to smoke. In certain places, there might be certain towns, like I imagine, like in Dallas, for example, there's probably some city ordinances and whatnot when it comes to smoking in public places. But as far as state policy, when it comes to those things, certainly there's some, there's definitely not an effort to do that, and I can't see anytime soon where there would be any kind of national bans on smoking in public places. The only place industry that I know where, again, smoking is really outlawed is in the airline industry. Like I said, I just don't think you can smoke on a public passenger plane. I don't think smoking is allowed even if you have a first class ticket. I don't think they're allowing smoking in those settings. Vaping, I don't know about, but as far as smoking cigarettes, I don't think they can.
I'm going to talk about New York here for a second, because New York I know pretty well with the cigarettes, because I lived there for so long.
Mm-hmm.
So, public transportation, buses, taxis. My father, when he was a yellow cab driver, if he get caught with somebody smoking in his cab, it's a $10,000 fine.
$10,000? Wow.
Yes. That's what when he left the field, maybe changed and maybe went up, maybe down. I don't know. They were not fucking around towards the end, because a lot of people at first it was 150. I asked my dad, "Can I smoke in here?" He goes, "Give me 150. If I get pulled over, I got the fine. If you don't, I'll give you 150 back." Most of them will probably say, "Yeah, I don't give a shit. I'll give it 150 right now." That's how much they want a cigarette. Now, with public smoking, is airlines are the only places you cannot smoke. If a property says no smoking on property, like hospitals or office buildings, you can't smoke on property. They can't call a cop. Listen, we want him to remove.
Well, in property, yeah. I mean, like I said, go to any hospital now, you'll see doctors outside smoking a cigarette. I mean, even in New Jersey,
they're starting to change that now. Now you cannot be smoking
on the premises. You can't smoke if you're a doctor,
or when you're going through your onboarding, you cannot be a smoker. If you get piss tobacco, meaning like it's piss hot, pretty much like drugs, they have the right to not hire you. St. Louis, Geisinger, the two hospitals I know in Pennsylvania are not allowing you to smoke if you're going to be employed there, right? So the other catch now is, as much as you see New York, people think there'd be a lot of smokers in New York. I've been in New York for over 2-3 dozen times, and I think you've been in New York a lot too. I don't see a lot of smokers anymore in New York, to be honest with you, bro. I see less and less and less and less. I remember walking down Astoria Boulevard, Ditimas, or Boulevard, any of those town, Woodside. I used to see cigarette butts all over the place. People throwing them. Now I don't see them anywhere. Almost. You might see here and there, but a lot of people. I think people are not smoking because a pack of cigarettes in New York is almost like $20.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's an expensive pastime, and if you're one of those chain smokers, or were you ever a chain smoker? Like, what's the most you smoked packs of cigarettes you smoked in a day?
The most it was one pack a day. I was at the highest.
One pack. All right.
Yeah.
So you never saw like 2-pack, 3-pack. You were never that bad.
No. My father was the heaviest smoker I know ever. So before I get to my father, let me finish what I was gonna say. So me smoker, the most I was when I started working in the corporate cooking field, you couldn't just go out whenever you want to go smoke. You only had 15-minute break and your lunch break. That's it. Like I remember my first job, so what's the deal? And like I said, I'm going for a smoke. Like, no, you can't. I'm like, why not? I'm like, you're in corporate now. You get a lunch break and you get a 15-minute break. And I turn around, I get a lunch break? What the fuck is that? Because I never had a lunch break for so many years. So corporate is different. Corporate cooking versus diner cooking. So when I smoked for my 30-minute break, I chain smoked a lot. Like 2 cigarettes back easily. Very easily. And it was just a habit. Like I remember when I put into work, I used to make sure I had smoked at least 1 to 2 cigarettes before I went in, because I will be at least 4 to 5 hours before I came out for a cigarette.
Right.
Easy.
Right.
So my father, he was the heaviest I ever known. So when he came to the country, and I told this on the channel, but he was a crab fisherman. That's how he got into the
Right.
country.
Right. Right.
He used to tell me one hand on an alarm, one hand on a pack of cigarettes. He used to pack about two on a good day, 3 on a bad day packs.
Wow.
So that's what, about 40 to 60 cigarettes, give or take.
Right.
So that's a lot of fucking cigarettes. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. And it brings me up to my point. Let me just go to. I think I have a couple more slides left. I just want to show here. Because the next point I'm going to be making is on again as part of the show title. Not sure what your experience with cigars is, but certainly I see a lot of cigar aficionados. In fact, there's a magazine. Cigars almost like it's a different category when it comes to.
I'm glad you brought this up because I was going to mention this. Okay, so I'm going to get into that in 1 second. I want to bring one thing up first.
Sure thing.
So pipe smoking is not as popular like it used to be. I remember people used to like Popeye, for example. He had the pipe, the tobacco, smoking. You know, that was like a very like a high class style way of smoking in a way. Like the little long one you put in the end. Like
exactly.
So I see pipes, people selling pipes, but I don't think people are doing this pipe. I really don't see that.
Yeah,
anymore.
I think cigars have maybe taken over some of that space. I mean, pipe definitely is sort of like your grandfather's thing. And again, there was like almost like a sophistication that kind of came with that. But I really think the cigar industry, I think, has really boomed in recent years. Now, part of it also is in contrast to cigarettes, because certainly a lot of the information that's out there when people talk about it is that smoking cigars on the whole is safer than cigarettes. Now, one thing that you have to factor in with cigarettes is that it's not just the tobacco plant that you're smoking. It's not just the nicotine, but there's a lot of additives that they give into cigarettes. So with those additives, again, the cigars aren't necessarily having those things. So you see some of the ingredients there that go into a typical cigarette, and then when it's burned, then you have all these chemical processes that can also begin once you start releasing the through the carcinogens. You have these other things that come in, but the one thing you hear about is that it's when people who smoke cigars, like again. You could be a chain smoker. I don't see too many chain cigar people. Like cigars is almost like an occasional indulgence, especially if it's a good one. Like, you may smoke a cigar, maybe a cigar a day or maybe a cigar a week or whatever. You go to the lounge and you kind of have one to relax and whatnot. But, I don't know people, just the But then I also got some stats here. They saying that the average cigar is roughly equivalent to 20 cigarettes in terms of the amount of nicotine content. But it doesn't necessarily have these other substances, the ones that are listed here.
So here's the thing. First of all, does anybody know, you mostly, Paul, do you know how much chemicals are in one cigarette?
Well, again, just here, they're saying it's over 600. I just from what I was able to get, certainly from the American.
I'm telling you that's wrong. It's over 1,000, actually.
Mm-hmm. All
the chemicals. Now, they even have the sapphire chemical. Pretty much, if you fall asleep with a cigarette in your hand, it will go out after a few minutes, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's one. Cigars, you're not technically supposed to inhale that because it's more for the flavor.
How is that? Because I remember, the famous line from Bill Clinton when he talked about, I smoked on the marijuana, but I didn't inhale, and everybody like, yeah, right. So how do you do that? I don't know. So I'm talking out of ignorance here, but how do you inhale? Take a draw on a cigar and not inhale the smoke from that.
When you're taking a cigarette, you take it. When you suck it in, you go straight down to your lungs, like vaping. All right.
Okay.
Cigar, you kind of like take it, but you don't suck it in. And go. You kind of blow right out. It's a very hard to explain to a non-smoker. Mm-hmm. You're not inhaling, you're puffing it, if that makes sense.
Interesting. Cigars, I'm trying to get, like I said, I don't know anybody that I know personally. Like I said, my dad, all the years he was a smoker, I've never seen him smoke a cigar ever. So again, that would be my only reference to that. And again, in the chat now, again, are some of Folks in the chat, do you smoke cigars? And now I'm talking about, maybe you may go to like a cigar lounge or and get a nice one, a nice cute. Well, I think Cuban cigars are still supposed to be illegal, I think, but you get like a high quality cigar. You go in there, you get your drink, your Merlot or whatever, and you're just in the lounge and you're just relaxing. Do people do that? Do people in the chat, have you done that? Is that something that you would participate in and whatnot? For myself. Yeah, go ahead.
I have been to cigar lounges. Cigar lounges are very expensive for two reasons. One, they sell cigars there. They sell very high-end liquor, meaning like aged liquor. Like I seen liquor up to like $1,000 a shot. That's how expensive it can be. So keep that in mind. So cigars, I been into a cigar shop, I guess you want to call it. And the cigar shops are, I've seen cigars for $20. I've seen them for $150. I've seen them for $400. Some cigars,
right? But that's part. But to me, that's what I'm saying. I think why cigars have sort of taken over from the pipe. I think there has been a marketing, just like how cigarettes were marketed. I think cigars have been marketed in a similar fashion, in that it is looked at as a high class sort of thing. You look at cigar fiction, and who's the biggest cigar, most famous cigar person that we know?
I don't know.
Arnold.
Oh shit! Yeah, I forgot about him.
Right? Go look at past covers of Cigar Aficionado magazine. They have all these high-end people, these billionaires and stuff. Arnold, he's graced that cover so many times. He smokes in his movies and whatnot. And it's so ironic because he's supposed to be this health guy, promoting health and bodybuilding and all those things. But he was now again, smoking one occasionally. I don't know how often he smokes, but obviously if you're going to smoke as many cigars as you do cigarettes, I think you'd be putting yourself in danger. But I think one of the reasons why a lot of cigar aficionados will say, hey, it's no big deal, is because, again, you're not going to smoke them on a regular basis. Yes, Angry Man. Yes, every time I've seen Angry Man show up on a podcast, he always comes on with a cigar in his mouth. So he might be an exception. I never met him, but yeah, he might be one of the few. I don't see too many people at all on a regular basis smoking cigars, but it is certainly something that I have seen market and promote. In fact, before I got the job I actually interviewed with a cigar company in New Jersey. But again, it was this high-end place. They had this high-end lounge, just like you talked about. You go in, nice plush furniture, it's beautiful. Business people go there, and it's just this image of high class and society. Just like back in the day, remember, you ever see those old ads and cartoons where the woman, not only she would have the cigarette, but she'd have that long straw type of thing that she would put the cigarette on, because it was almost
another filter. It was a cigarette.
Yeah, yeah, but it was like a foot long. You know what I mean? It was considered like, you wouldn't. Yeah, exactly. And I think cigars have been put in that category for a lot of people. When you win a chip, Michael Jordan, the other one, I would say if Arnold might be the most famous, the second most famous is probably Michael Jordan, because he's again, for a guy who promotes health and being an NBA basketball player, to your point earlier, you wouldn't be a boxer and smoke, but certainly Michael Jordan would certainly have his cigars. Now, again, did he only smoke cigars after the championship? I don't think so. And in fact, he's been in there. Steve Harvey, he smokes them also. And so again, I think that the fact that it's associated with people just, again, understanding the human condition, and people want to be like someone else. Again, it's just like, again, going back to the World War I and II with the military. That image, that impacted a lot of people, because to see an American GI smoking, that was considered like almost like the height of American power and whatnot. So the imaging that has oftentimes been associated with smoking, whether it be with cigarettes or with cigars, or whatever, and now you're starting to see it with the marijuana, because again, how many athletes, how many entertainers, even before it was legal, right? The rap industry and whatnot, and Cheech and Chong, go back to the Cheech and Chong eras, how it's been associated, how people think it's cool to do hits and to roll the blunts and the things of that nature. I mean, so I think a lot of this, the marketing of it, from just if I just look at it purely objectively, I think it's been brilliant. But I think certainly cigars, smoking has been something. Yes, absolutely, the governor, absolutely, yeah.
So here's the list of the most famous cigar smokers. All right, Honor is number one. I'm gonna be honest with you. Top. Then you got Churchill second, Castro third, Jack Nicholson Joker. He's in fourth place. JFK, Michael Jordan, like you said. Babe Ruth. I didn't know Babe Ruth was a cigar smoker, to be honest.
Well, I guess, yeah. I mean, they did everything. Smoking, they did everything back in the day.
I know he smoked cigars. I didn't know about cigars.
Right.
Mark Twain, Huey, George Burney, George Marx. Am I pronouncing that? M-A-R.
George Marx, yeah, the Marx brothers, yeah.
Arnold, Steven Stallone, Rocky, Ludacris. That one threw me off completely. I know Ludacris was a smoker. Winling, Red Abson. I'm pronouncing that right. And Thomas Edison. Those are the number one cigar smokers. Like I said, I've been in lounges. If you go to a country club, there's a smoking section in there. Cigars. If they come out, pop the box open, and like, which one do you like, sir? I'm like,
yeah. And then they do the smell, right? They take it up and they do the smell with it and all that stuff. It's like I said, it's a classy image.
So first they come with the cigars. They pop it out. Which one? I looked at my buddy like, I can't afford this. Like, oh, I know what is in the membership. I'm like, okay. So I pick one and he goes, they're looking at me like, sniff it, idiot. Okay. And you sniffed it and like you pick 3 or 4 of them. Which one? Okay, I like this one. It's matter like, vanilla. They have flavors, believe it or not. They have flavors.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I agree.
They come over with scissors. So you go, they cut it for you. They give you the lighter in a little box, the matches, because we have to. People do it with a lighter. It's not supposed to be. It's more with a match. A wooden match is how you're supposed to a cigar. Then they come with the sniffer glass. They put, you pick what kind of alcohol, top shelf again. I mean, like Patron shit, and like $100 a shot. And then you swear you sniffed it, and you just chill. I'm like, this feels like I'm actually somebody. You feel special, actually. You feel good.
You're like a VIP,
Literally, yeah. I was a guest there. It was like this high end country club. It was a local small place, and I felt like a high end person. And like everybody's in their suits and everything. Like the only thing you have to do, because the membership's paid for everything, is literally you just have to tip your waiter out or your cigar person, whatever they have. That's it. So, and most times you just tap them out. You tip them out with a credit card. I'm like, what? I'm like, that's why cigars you're not posting in hell. I'm telling that because I smoked them. And like, yeah. I made one in the comments. Somebody said, smoking is disgusting in general. Yes, it is, but it's part of our society since mankind.
Well, like I say, it's part globally. I mean, and there's countries that are far worse, Europe and like I said, Southeast Asia, and whatnot. But I am curious about Africa, though. I mean, I may have to do a follow up talk to David or Ekene and whatnot. I'm curious about why smoking doesn't necessarily have a foothold in Africa the way it does in Asia. That I'm a bit curious about. But again, just different slides I've just gotten. So again, we're not gonna. I'm not preaching anybody in terms of the risk from smoking. I think most people understand what's associated with that. Now, what I did find interesting was this one here on cannabis. So just kind of switching gears a little bit because obviously, again, cannabis is like the new thing. It's legal in I think it's about 40 states right now, 30 or 40 states right now where recreational cannabis is what I'm talking about now, is legal. And there are benefits to it. I know my sister personally, again, she had a ton of health issues for a lot of her life. She took a ton of drugs for pain management, and she started. She got her card, her card to use. She lives in Nevada, and she was able to get herself off a lot of those drugs. I mean, and she absolutely swears that it helps her. And here you see for cannabis, again, there's pluses and minuses to it. So again, I'm not here endorsing it. And certainly no one here on the BMU network is endorsing the use, but certainly there are things that it does, in particular pain management, especially when you talk about these athletes. The thing I started getting me was, you hear these stories about these athletes and what the things that they had to do to stay on the field and play, taking all those drugs, which are also addictive, like so the morphines and all those drugs just to be able to get on the field and play. And for a lot of these guys, they were able to manage their pain management through this. Now, again, I think it's still banned in certainly major sports. I don't think there's any sports organization that's made it legal yet, even if it's legal in the states that they play in. And you still have tests that you have to pass. I know my daughter, she's she went for a job and she had to take a drug test. Like you can't have, even if it's legal recreationally, there's still certainly companies that will test you. I'm sure, Peter, you worked in the food industry and certainly in prisons and different things in hospitals.
Yeah, I want to go over
so yeah, go ahead.
Well, here's the thing. Weed is not federalized yet. So if it's not federalized, so for example,
it's still a class 1 on the federal drug schedule. It's still class 1, which is ridiculous, and there's a racist origin as to why that happens. We can get into that another time, but yeah, it's still a class 1 drug, the one of the highest.
Like for example, Lehigh Valley, St. Luke's, guys, and all the health network in Pennsylvania, and I know some other ones in New Jersey, New York, and some other states. If you piss red for marijuana and you have a card, guess what? You don't get a job. But I have a card. I can sue you. No, you cannot, because that's not no law. No real good lawyers are going to take the case. Only lawyers are going to take that case is just going to take your fucking money and lose the case. Very simple. It's going to be thrown out because weed is not federalized. Today it's federalized. You will still fail a drug test. End of story. Now, here's the other catch-22. Nobody tells you this. If you want to ever own a gun and you have a weed card, at any point in your life you had a weed card, you are literally surrendering your Second Amendment right. So that means at the point, let's say your sister got a weed card, and eventually she says, I don't want this card, I'll buy it legally instead, and I want my gun. No, she will never be able to own a gun anymore because she just signed her rights away. So people don't think of this shit. There are consequences for everything. One reaction versus the other. So you want to smoke weed so bad, but you're giving away your Second Amendment right that most people die for.
So now let me ask you, was that then a motivation? Because we didn't talk about, so what's been your, again, share what you want to share. I'm not,
why I smoking?
No, why is weed. So again, we know about your addiction to cigarettes. We know about your vaping, and you said you had some experience with cigars, not often, but you have had, going to the lounge and whatnot. Have you had a lot of experience with cannabis? I mean, what's been your background with that?
Cousin Lazarus Vastados, he is the biggest pothead I ever fucking known. Like,
okay,
literally, he literally will tell his boss he's a pothead. He's a real estate and loan officer in New Jersey, and I'm scratching my head like he literally looks at his client like, "Do you smoke weed?" I'm like, "What?" I'm like I would have fired your ass on the spot. Like, you're not doing my loan if you're talking to me like that. That's my personal opinion. But my cousin was such a backpipe. I've smoked it. Every time I smoked it, I puke. It fucks me up. So I don't like it. And, they tell me, the different cons. Maybe you hit too hard, or maybe you smoke too much. I don't care. Smoking is not my cup of tea. I say stay away from it because it makes me throw up every time.
Right.
So I do it. Simple.
And what about additional? Because again, you have other medicinals. I'll just call it that. I know you have people, and again, I would be curious for those in the chat. What other things have you done? So I know there's mushrooms is becoming a thing. People taking that. People also doing like ashwagandha, different, and there's rooms. I know Dorian Yates. I know he's a former Mr. Olympia, 6-time Mr. Olympia. I know he's really big into that. And they have these almost similar to your cigar lounges. Like they have these lounges where you can go for I think he lives in Spain. But you can go for a session. So you get your whatever. They got all these different formulations of what you want or whatever, these psychedelics, and whatnot. And you get into these altered state of consciousness, and they talk about how they have these vivid dreams, and it helps inspire their inspiration. And unfortunately, one thing that I discovered in the last couple of years, Bruce Lee was really big, not only to hash, but all kinds of substance issues and whatnot. So he was really hooked on that stuff, which was because again, this is a guy who again marketed and promoted health and fitness, and to know that he was such hooked on, they said it could have contributed to his demise, that he got some bad stuff or whatever. In fact, I don't know if you remember the Chinese Connection movie. Do you remember that movie, Pete? That's the one where Bruce Lee, it's actually it's Fist of Fury, really is the one. It's Fist of Fury. That's the one. He goes, his teacher is killed, and he goes and avenges his teacher's loss by fighting all these guys. The Russian guy he fights, like the second to the last fight he has in the film, that was his supplier in the United States. So that was revealed over the pandemic time. So again, it was definitely and I appreciate that, Catelli. That's what I'm saying. We're having an open conversation. I've never used any of this stuff, so I'm the guinea pig. So again, I'm just I'm just trying to just gain some. We're just having to gain understanding through the doubt. That's why we have the dialogue on it. So here you have someone who's a complete straight edge, never drank, never smoked, never did anything. But certainly we're just having a dialogue on. I haven't. I admit I had one sip of my uncle's Budweiser when I was 4 years old, and that's probably the only thing I've had to drink outside of cough medicine. That's the only alcohol that I've ever consumed.
So you asked me, or what else I have smoked? You say. So I used to go to hookah lounges once in a while. I actually enjoyed it.
I forgot. Thanks for reminding me. I was going to bring that up too.
They were very popular at one time, and they kind of died off.
No, there's still. I mean, there's one that just opened up last year. Right, I walk my dog there every.
They died off in Pennsylvania, at least.
Oh, right? Okay.
Yeah, and I used to literally, there was a weird flavor. My favorite one was a pineapple flavor. They literally put a real pineapple on that goddamn thing. You're like smoking that shit. So that is a very popular. Hookah is very popular. Actually, at one point, from what my experience down here. Again, it depends. It really depends.
Yeah. I walk my dog and we walk by a hookah lounge every day. We have this route that we go on, and usually they have the door open so you can kind of smell. I mean, it's very aromatic. It's like incense. It smells like you go by there. It's like incense, and people just go there, lounge out, hang out, eat some food or whatever. It's just a place just to kick it. And I know there's a few places in Edison near me and whatnot. So they have some some places. So I don't know. Now it just seems to be like I said, the weed is just taking over because you got literally within probably a 1 mile radius of my house. You have 3 dispensaries. Like 2 are about to open up. Like literally, like less than like a block from each other. Dispensaries have just popped up all over the place here. So it's that's definitely, like I said, the next big thing. And again, I don't know, will the marijuana, will that ever replace the cigarette? Because like in your case, you could smoke, but the weed, you get nauseous from it. So again, not everybody does everything. So again, it may not be a big impact on the cigarette industry because again, it's a different thing. It's like apples and oranges from what I've been able to ascertain. It's been, it's a different vibe. But I'd like to know, certainly in the audience tonight, if you have done any of those things, if you've done hookah, or if you do currently hookah, ashwagandha, or the mushrooms, the weed. Do you go to the lounges, the cigar lounges? Just curious to see kind of where people at. No judgments here, but it's I just want to kind of take the temperature. Certainly of the room. I know Catelli, I know who's crazy health conscious, certainly in the fitness industry. I'm certainly, heavy into the fitness myself. So again, I don't partake in those things, but I really enjoy, the conversation, trying to learn from those who do and trying to, again, promote understanding, because again, it's not just about the substances or the dangers, but again, it's a culture, it's a lifestyle. And again, just go back to your mom's or your grandmother's generation. It was so prevalent in the country that everybody, it didn't matter what. Now, the only group I would say that may have been excluded for a large part for this is women. Now, again, I don't know in Greece, Peter, do women smoke as much as men? about the same level or more than men. Most cult I've seen, and in the U.S. is kind of split. It's kind of 50-50. You know what I'm saying? But but I know in certain countries, like in India, for example, I've only seen one woman, Indian woman, who's from Asia. I mean, actually from the country, smoking a cigarette. It's like 20-1 there. But in Greek culture, are women just as much on the cigarettes as the men are?
So yes, the simple way to say yes. Like I know some men who don't smoke and their wives do, and vice versa. Oh, both of them smoke. So it really depends on the person. Smoking is very common. I have anywhere I go, I see people smoke. Simple.
Mm-hmm.
Like I knew my best friend's parents. His mother didn't smoke, but his father was a heavy smoker.
Mm-hmm.
Then I know some other people, like my mom's best friend. She's a heavy smoker, but her husband doesn't even touch cigarettes.
Mm-hmm.
So that gives you an example.
That is crazy to me.
I do have a story I want to say really fast of my grandfather when he was a smoker. Obviously, you saw his depot and all that stuff. And he was a plumber in the union. And this is what made him quit. And you don't want to piss off my grandfather because my grandfather's the nicest person in the world. But if you burn him, he's going to be a bastard. So he always, because he was the foreman there, and everybody always asked him cigarettes. So he used to give out. One time he didn't have cigarettes. So he asked one, "Give me a cigarette, you dude." He goes, turns around like, what am I look like? Oh man, I'm going to support your fucking habit. Oh, that pissed my fucking grandfather off. He quit on the spot just because of that reason. Like, really? Every time you need a cigarette, I got you. Now you can't give me one. That's why he quit smoking. He don't need one. That's how serious he got. And some people, that's all it takes. Oh, it's
like willpower or pride got hurt or whatever. There's not one formula to get, one size fits all when it comes to it. You got to find your own motivation, and he was fortunate enough that he was able to find it. And but
my motivation was my mother's number one. It was a couple of factors. My mother's one. See, my mother struggled with smoking over the years.
Does she still smoke now?
She vapes now. And she's never gonna give anything up. She goes to me, "I only have my TV and my vape now. I don't have nothing else to live for." I'm like, seriously? That's the best you got? Anyway, so that's one. My second motivation is, why is my close friends like yourself, CQ, and anybody else have to deal with my nasty habits? It's not worth it. And every time I have to go for a smoke, I could be losing money when I could be making money. So those are my motivation personally. I don't want to be. I don't want to cycle. I want to break the cycle.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's I respect the fact that it is a daily grind, but again, just looking at, that's why, like I said, I wanted to go back and look at the history of it because, again, I'm trying to understand, and I get, again, physical addictions and things like that people, have, but I think the smoking in general, I think it goes beyond just the nicotine. It's like I said, it's just so many other things that are involved. Not to say that it's impossible, but I know for a lot of people who smoke, again, you talked about one person, like you said, CQ, never had a desire for a cigarette after a time, and that's great. Most people I know who stopped smoking, they still have it. It's just like, it's just like mom's a rebel, just like her son. Yeah, but it's weird because back in the day, even how you looked at a woman was different. You know what I'm saying? It was like back in the day, if a woman smoked, she was looked at as being maybe a bit rebellious, like not necessarily the nice June Cleaver type of wifey type of thing or whatever. She was like a bad girl. It's almost like a woman who swears. You know what I mean? It's like, even today, women, women can swear better than the men now. But back in, even today, I still have a thing like when I hear a woman swearing. It doesn't, to me, it doesn't sound the same as if a man does it. And that could be the most sexist thing I've ever said, but it just lands differently when I see a not just a swear. Anyone can let out something at any given time. You know what I mean? But I'm talking about like a profane woman. It's just not the same thing. Like I don't enjoy a lot of female comedians for that reason, because just hearing a woman swearing profusely is just something that I just don't find appealing in any sense in time. But a guy doing it, so that's I don't call that a flaw in me or whatever. I'm not seeing it the same way, but it's just how it lands with me. But yeah, as far as women smoking, I see it here, kind of 50-50. In terms of the usage, with women, but let me ask you this: have you ever been attracted to that? So if you had to, even in your day when you were smoking, a woman who smoked versus one who didn't, who was more attractive to you in your eyes?
It depends, really. If I'm a smoker, I gravitate to smokers. Simple. Because someone who doesn't smoke doesn't know my habit at a time. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it's weird. Yeah, I dated girls who are non-smokers, but there was always an issue. Why can't you quit that shit? Can you start smoking already? There was always an argument why I'm smoking. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I can understand that to a degree. I mean, look, I kissed a smoker one time. And that was in total transparency. Again, I wasn't the specimen that I am now. I'll just say that. Okay, I was definitely an ugly duckling back in the day. So this was one of my first opportunities. I'll just leave it there. So I wasn't going to turn down the opportunity, even though she tastes like an ashtray. I'll just say that. But that was it. I never kissed a woman who smoked again. I never found it appealing after that. But I'm just trying to see from the non smoking perspective. I'm just curious how, when you talked about earlier, it's like, you had one relative who smoked and the other one didn't, or the man smoked but the wife didn't, or something like that. I'm still to this day trying to figure out how, even my mom never smoked. To my knowledge, my mom never smoked, but my dad was a smoker. And I'm just curious as to how they were able to make that work, because just the idea of kissing a smoker, if you're a non-smoker, is just something that I just wouldn't find appealing. But again, I think the fact that it was so they got married in 1957. So again, if everyone smoked back then maybe it was just accepted back then, and that's what your spouse did. But I couldn't imagine today being what that's one of my strikes. It's like if you smoke, that's a strike. It's like I wouldn't even consider you if that was.
So, as a smoker, ex-smoker, and somebody who's dated smokers. So
that's right, Frank. Nasty breath. It was bad, man. But look, I couldn't. I was like, look, your boy back then. I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't beasted like I am now, yo. So it was like I had to take what was in front of me. It was like the crumb on the floor. I had to pick up. I'm sorry, man.
So here's the thing. I dated women who were smokers, not smokers. So me, who were a smoker, I didn't taste the aftertaste of smoke because I'm a smoker too. Remember, when you're a smoker, you're killing your talents, so you can taste a lot of shit.
Yeah, so, from your perspective, it makes sense. I'm just saying from the standpoint of a non-smoker.
I'll use my ex, my ex-fiance, that one who beat the shit out of me. I always talk about. We were smokers. We were smoking together half the time, or not half the time, the whole relationship pretty much. It's like maybe rare when we didn't smoke. When like we say, "Oh, we're going to quit smoking," we'll use a patch for a day. Then we looked at each other. We're having a beer in our hand. We ripped it off. So we really were not committed. So from the whole relationship, we were smokers at every single point. We, go to work, smoke, come home, smoke, with a drink in our hand. We were smokers. But the only good habit she had, and I'll care with that. She never smoked in the car. She's never smoked in the house.
Mm.
Some people don't have, some people don't care about, like Alicia. I know her personally. She doesn't care.
How does that work? I just asked her. So how does that? She said she doesn't care. She's been, she has boundaries, not in the car or whatever. But I mean, kissing them, or being in there, like you go into the closet and the clothes smell like. So I mean,
that doesn't. Your clothes stink all the time. So a couple things your hands are gonna stink like cigars all the time. I don't care how often you wash them. If you have one cigarette once a week or twice a week or once a month, fine. Your hands are gonna stuff. It stains your teeth too.
Yeah.
Your taste buds. And at 4, and your clothes smells like goddamn dog shit. Everything smells like dog shit because you're around that all the time.
Yeah, and this is before Febreze came out, you know. Febreze.
I have
Sorry.
my apartment, bro. Like you can't see on this angle where my office is. My desk. But everywhere I have air filters, I have those or my sprayers.
Yeah.
I hated that smell, the smoking smell in a house. But I kind of like I remember friends in high school. Dude, tell your fucking mother someone's smoking in the car. Like, dude, I'm not gonna tell her that. She's driving us to Toys R Us to go play Pokemon cards. Yes, I was one of those guys. So fuck off.
Right.
We play Pokemon cards, and you go, well, like, dude, you got 2 choices. You don't have to take a ride with my mother, who spends her gas money, her car, her everything. You're not gonna put rules in my mom's car. First of all,
right.
Get out of your fucking head, dude.
Right.
And you should get mad. Like, then get another ride. Simple. Get a taxi then. You don't want to come in. I know a lot of smokers who don't, you know, back in early 2000s, early 90s, everybody was smoking in a house in their car.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I had a brother-in-law who I lived with my sister and brother-in-law for a while. He smoked every day in the car, whatever. Didn't matter. You know, kids would complain about it in the back seat and everything. And, you know, he's like, look, I gotta have my unwind, you know? And I remember there was a commercial that they had, only Gen Xers would probably remember this. There's this company called Ronco. They used to sell all these different products, you know, house products. So they had this ashtray that had like a vacuum attachment on it. So when you put your, you would put your cigarette, you would put it idle, and the ashtray, it would suck the smoke inside, so it wouldn't spill out.
Days. So what they have is like a cup, pretty much, and it will hold it. So because you drop the cigarette in there, it holds the vapor, the smell, pretty much from the cigarette there versus the ashtrays you pulled out back in the day.
Right. But you still have to. But you're still going to draw, right? And then when is the expel going to go, right? So I didn't see how that would work, you know, as well, because again, you still get Your
car's still going to stink like cigarettes, but it's not going to be as harsh because the ashtray, because again, it's a cover over it, so it catch all the stinks. The cigarette smell of this car cigarette is from the cigarette butt, not from the tobacco, actually.
Right, but what I'm saying is when you draw, so you're still driving, you draw. So again, you're going to get the smoke coming out when you pick it up. You're going to inhale, and then you're going to blow out. Yeah. So the smoke is still going to get there. Yeah, it just won't be idle, just sitting idle, and the smoke just kind of, you know, rising up out of the ashtray.
You see a lot of smokers always have the window open.
Yeah, it doesn't work very well.
It's not supposed to work that well.
And especially, how's that going to work in the winter, right? So
you should drive with the window down in the winter.
Man. But look, I knew people who would go out with no jet, like 35 degrees outside, or 25 degrees outside. They had to get that cigarette. It could be snowing; it didn't matter. They had to go outside in the cold as it was, but they had to have that cigarette. You know, it was like,
bro, I know people wear short sleeves, short shorts, basketball shorts, like I'm wearing right now, going out for a cigarette with snow.
Does it warm you up?
Not really.
Okay, I've seen that too, and I'm like, man, aren't you cold? It's like, you know, but
like go out just in like summer clothes, you know, wear a jacket. It says whatever. I personally don't like that. I used to go out in a cold weather, even when I lived here. I have never smoked in my apartment. Get that clear out of everybody's head. We always smoked outside. If we ever, the only one time we did smoke, actually, I've lied to you, it was by that window over there. But it was literally, we were sticking our heads out the window and smoking. I was leaning out the window, pretty much. So, again, that's not an exception to our rule, but I guess it is a little bit, whatever. But I used to literally, it was snowing outside. I used to get my jacket, put my boots on, and go smoke a cigar outside. I actually enjoy the air smoking a cigarette. Call me crazy. It was like, it felt like wake up.
No, it's your experience. I can't fight with that. But I think just on a global, as we got 10 minutes left in the show. And this has been a great discussion. Again, hopefully for those in the audience, thank you guys for participating. Thank you, Alicia, for coming on. Hope you enjoyed the information. Hope you enjoy the content and this and just this conversation. But again, just on a global area, the gray area here. Certainly smoking is something that
Because this just came to my head. So okay, smoking and vaping. So smoking in a house, you're going to still smell it if you're not smoking. Like if I was smoking in my house right now and you came over, Paul, you would know I'm a smoker if I didn't tell you anything. Now with vaping, I want to clear that because it's such a wrong mentality. It doesn't hold. The only thing you smell whatever I vape. Like this one right here is this is zero nicotine, by the way. So everybody knows from when I had it. It is apple cinnamon donut. All right. When I vape, is apple cinnamon donut you smell. That's it. So it's no after smell. And there's no.
Is there a taste?
Yeah, apple cinnamon donuts. See?
No, you said smell, so I wasn't sure if there's a taste also. Is it just?
Taste. That's a taste too. Whatever you smell, you taste. You can do Fruit Loops. You can do donuts. That's why kids love this flavor. Yeah. Cookie cream, apple pie.
Wow.
Whatever. I had chocolate cheesecake once. Like I had it all in this.
Is it good? I mean, is it pleasurable, or is it just like it's like it's like the new car smell, in the air freshener. Like it really doesn't smell like a new car. Nothing smells like a new car. Does it actually taste or smell like? Is it pleasing?
What Boston said is hit it right on. It tastes and it smells the same. If you say if you have a jelly donut smell, right? It's gonna taste like jelly donut. But what I want to clear up the mistake, when you vape inside a house, it doesn't stick around. 1, 2, there is no such thing as secondhand vape. Get that out of everybody's head. There's no thing in that study. It doesn't exist.
Right.
I do understand some people like yourself, Paul, does not like it in your house. That's a different story. But there's no such thing. If somebody, like seeing people do it, I have never done it. By accident, like bad habit, go grab one and smoke, start vaping. Like, dude, we don't smoke in the house. Oh, I'm sorry, walked out. But there also, I want to touch this base on this too. Actually, I'm gonna share my screen in 1 second because this thing came out recently. This is actually for people who do want to quit smoking. This is a non-quit smoking. I gotta find the damn fucking thing. I think I have it in my card actually. It's a vaporless. Here it is. Boss man, I'm gonna share my screen really fast, buddy. So this is another way to quit smoking. This is new in the market, and I actually looked into it before I quit smoking for the 105th time. This is a no vape, no cartridge, no nothing. You get the hit. This is where you get hit off of tobacco or nicotine, and that's it. So you can smoke this in the house. Like I can smoke this at your house, for example, and I blow and nothing comes out.
So it's a tobacco product. There's tobacco in it, or it's something else.
It's tobacco in it. Yeah, it's nicotine, not tobacco. Let's get
nicotine,
it
right.
Or something burned. Nicotine is something is not burned. So just in case anybody wants to quit smoking, this is another no alternative. There are a lot of alternatives of quit smoking now. But again, I'll say my statement again. If you're not fucking ready, don't waste your money. You have to be mentally ready to quit smoking.
Yeah.
And I'll leave that as my final thought.
Yeah. Nah, I mean, this has been, certainly a terrific conversation. And again, and I really, again, just to show people here, like I said, I have no exposure. I've grown up around it, obviously, certainly with my father. And so I've known people who've done it, smoke weed and whatnot. Again, I've never, outside of just, not liking the smell or whatever, the clothes or just, having to hold your breath when you're going inside the house, things like that. I didn't appreciate that. But again, this was not meant to criticize those who do smoke or anything, whether you're doing weed, marijuana, whatever the substance is that, that you may be on. It does certainly for me speak to, I guess, humanity's need for external. And again, some people say, especially if you're into the highly spiritual stuff, some people say, look, God gave us that stuff, right? God gave cannabis, God gave whatever to help us to heal and some people even take it to the standpoint to connect with God. Because especially when people go on these trips and whatnot, they truly believe that they are actually meeting God. again, I don't participate in that. I have my beliefs when it comes, certainly to God, and but again, I just see just human history being such where people have used substances of different kinds, certainly for different reasons, and unfortunately, people get overly addicted on them, and some people will grow out of them. But it is a reality of our world. I mean, it's certainly something global, just like drinking. In fact, in the future, we're going to have a show on drinking as well. And again, like I said, I've never drank, or at least intentionally, or so I that's just never been my thing. But and again, blame my father for that also. So I'm fortunate that my father drank a lot and he smoked a lot. And it was almost like, in some ways you didn't want to be like your dad. So in a lot of ways, and I got to give some credit to my mom also, because again, she didn't do those things. And when I went to live with my dad, I kind of saw, him taking it to these excesses, and that kind of put into my mind, pretty early on in my early teens that, yeah, like I don't want to, wind up like that, because, they also say that some of the stuff is hereditary. Again, not sure how true that is. Like alcoholism is hereditary or whatever. So
I'll give you this example, Paul.
Yeah.
My father was occasional drinker. He didn't like have beer with friends here and there or whatever. My mother, she could not even have a shot of beer. That little beer would get her buzzed and dancing, singing. I remember one time she had a little sip out of my beer. She's asking for her mom, crying, and like, I want my mommy. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? That got her drunk. That little stuff got her drunk. Simple as that.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, everyone's going to be different. But question, did your dad have a particular brand or brands of cigarettes that he always smoked?
He used to smoke Marlboro Reds.
Marlboro Reds, that was his thing. Yeah.
Mine,
Mine for as long as I've known him, up until I think it was hard to sell the brand. I think the brand just went out of business. There was this brand called Viceroy. And that was the only brand he smoked as long as if they didn't have Viceroys, then he may go for the Marlboro Reds or something of that nature. But typically he was a one cigarette guy. He wasn't going to smoke anything per se. He didn't smoke Cools or any of those fancier type of cigarettes or whatever. He was pretty simple, and once he found his brand, that was it for him. So again, he was very predictable in that regard.
I kind of want to touch base a little bit on that before we go. So my first cigarette I ever tried was Marlboro Light 100s. My mom had. That's why I smoked. But what I started smoking was Newports and Marlboro Menthos. Those are the I always smoke Menthos. So I went from Camel Crush to Snaps, Marlboro Snaps, and all this different time. I ended up just landing for the last several years to Marlboro Black Menthol. Again, the menthol. I like the menthol because that was, to me, the cigarette just like, I know friends of mine who smoked, like, man, you got this nasty menthol. Like, then don't fucking ask for a cigarette. Simple. I don't bitch when I don't have a cigarette. I'm buying one off you, so don't bitch when I have something. Like, you don't want it, don't shut the fuck up. You don't need to smoke then. You don't if you're bitching about my nipple, because I was one of the few people who actually smoked menthol in my group. Everybody else does regular cigarettes.
Now, why is that? That does menthol, does it give a different smell, or is it a
different flavor?
Okay.
You smoke. You have menthol into a cigarette. So you taste the tobacco, but with a menthol hit. So it's not as harsh, I guess. The best way I can explain it. But again, that's what I smoked. People bitch about it. So then you don't need a fucking cigarette that bad if you're bitching that much. Simple.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I hear you. But again, this is good. I appreciate this conversation and the topic. Again, we have a lot of different shows coming up. We have some interviews that are going to be coming up soon that hopefully you're going to be enjoying as well. We have some, certainly former military. We love talking to the military guys. So, a lot of content, that we're teeing up certainly over the next couple of months. And, so definitely looking forward to having it. But again, for everyone who decided to join us tonight, we appreciate you being here with us. Hopefully this was an engaging conversation. But with that, I'm Mr. Bennett. He is of the Sparta HQ Network. What?
Remember, guys, next week is Comic-Con. So make sure you come up and say hi. I'm not gonna fucking stop till somebody says yes. I'll be there.
We will be at Comic-Con Saturday the 19th. So again, if anyone's in the area, if you're there, stop by, come by and see us, take a photo with us, or whatnot. We'd love to certainly meet our, I think that's the coolest thing in the world when we meet people. And I've certainly had the benefit of meeting people from the B&E Network in person, and it's just the coolest thing in the world when we do that. So if you run into us, if you see us there, definitely come out and say hi to us.
CQ is going to be at Comic-Con. He goes every year. Also, King Smith is going to be there. Some other people from the of CQ's world is coming to be there. We're going to be a bunch of people. Some people who are future guests are going to be at Comic-Con that we have lined up. So keep that guy in mind. So anybody wants to say he's giving autographs out for free. So it can't go free. They usually charge $40.
Free guys. Yeah. I'm a bargain over there. But again, I serve the public. So
all right, man. Close us out.
All right. Well, again, he is part of the Sparta Network, aka Sparta, aka the Ghost of Sparta, aka Peter, aka Panayotis. I'm Mr. Bennett. This is the B&E Network. Again, make sure you like it. Click the like button as you come in. Consider subscribing to the network. Consider drop a cash app to us or to the B&E Network. Surely consider a cash app also. But again, tune into the network. That shows on tomorrow, Tuesday, pretty much all 7 days of the week. You'll find content on the B&E Network. And we look, surely it's our pleasure to give it to you. So until next time, you guys have a great week. Take care. God bless.
Going down like a rodeo. It's going down like I told you so. It's going down like a rodeo. It's going down like I told you so. I hope you're all here for the ride. Come inside, cause it's going down tonight. Only here for one night, no lies. Come and saddle up a ride. Need a yeehaw, you know how here for one night and we just wanna party. In a fast car, a Ferrari. Just a push start, I don't need a car key. It's out on Broadway, and it's gnarly. On a late night, but I'm not tardy. Right on time for the parties and Barbies. Strolling with a chunk of green like a golf swing. Hey. Bottles on ice, mess around these skates. If I gotta say it twice, then I got nothing to say. It's going down like a rodeo. It's going down like I told you so. It's going down like a rodeo. It's going down like I told you so. I hope you're all here for the ride. Come inside, cause it's going down tonight. Only here for one night, no lies. Come and saddle up a ride. Come and kiss me up, it's going down. Like a train with no brakes, I'm not slowing down. See it showing up, we're showing now. But I pack